My name is Franklin Cheluget, as you were informed earlier. I'll be making a presentation on foreign direct investment and legal entrepreneurship. And I want to make some starting or opening remarks. We'll try and keep it concise. I'm hoping to make it interactive for you. And I am here for a two-way interaction. So I want to impact knowledge on you, but I also want to learn from you, okay? So feel free to ask questions. Feel free to give me your perspective. Feel free to disagree, and then we'll move forward, okay? Now, I'll just give a brief background or explanation of who I am. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I was admitted to the bar in February of 2018. I was in this school at the Kenya School of Law in 2016. And I wonder where most of you were at that time. Mulikuwa wapi, high school or undergrad? High school, yes. So I was here in 2016. I did my undergraduate, obviously, prior to that. I really enjoyed my studies in my undergraduate. So some of the things that I really am proud about are back in the day, my interactions with moot court. So I did it. It was, interestingly, my first external moot court in 2014. And by accident, I emerged the best oralist in the country in 2014 in my first moot court. Later that year, I did the All Kenyan Moot Court competition. Yes, I was in Kabarak University at the time, and we ranked 5th in Africa, but I ranked 7th best oralist in Africa. Fast forward, when I joined here at Kenya School of Law, when everyone told me Kenya School of Law is difficult. Then when I got here, we started with introductions, introduction to this, and I was like, this thing is simple. So I made a mistake. I registered for classes for CPS, and I was like, because I think these things are so simple, let me do CPS. Then after the second month, I discovered, wow, I made a mistake. I should not have registered. But then that was a beautiful mistake, because I later on did my CS, which is very helpful, as you will see. I'll come to the relevance of that. When I was in undergrad, I was a joker many times. I was hardly ever in school. I was just, nilikuwa na tanga, I would go do volunteership, go do some weird courses if they were free. So I spent a lot of my time outside school. But I was lucky because I was a class rep. So the teacher would tell me, we have a cut, and then I start, preparing for the cut or the exams. Or sometimes I'd tell the teacher, hii class imesema, can you give us areas where we need to focus, And then, so somehow I got through undergrad. When I got here also, I spent, it was a bit hard for me because then I had to spend my time divided doing CPS, which I studied on my own. I didn't go to class because I didn't have the money to go to class at the time. But then also balancing it with the bar exams. And how many of you are in KSL now? How many are here? So you can imagine how demanding it is, right? Yeah, but it was really beautiful for me. One of my best accolades that I have here is that in my class of about 3,000, I ranked the first in the whole school for legal writing and drafting. So that was, well, thank you, but it's nothing. So yeah, that was one thing that highlighted my time here at Kenya School of Law, and I liked it. I liked legal writing and drafting. My dissertation in undergrad was on the drafting and interpretation of the word shall. So my dissertation was just the word shall, and that was a whole dissertation. And so at the time I was thinking, you know what, when I become a lawyer, I want to become a legal writer and drafter, But then obviously along the way, things change. When I started my practice as a pupil, I thought I want to become a commercial lawyer. But then when I did a commercial experience, I was like, no, this is not for me. Then I did disputes. So in 2015, I had an internship with Mohamed Mugai. Do you know Mohamed Mugai? Yes, it's one of the top tier law firms here in Kenya. So I did an internship with them. And then subsequently in 2017, after KSL, I did my pupillage at Triple OK Advocates. Do you guys know Triple OK Advocates? Yes. So that's why I did my pupillage, and then I spent the first 5.5 years of my practice. So I was there for about 6.5 years. Until last year, I was turning 30, and I was like, what is the best gift for myself at 30? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to resign and start my own practice. So last year, I founded FK Cheluget and Company Advocates. And the interesting thing is that at Triple OK Law Advocates, my specialization was on dispute resolution. So I'm really good at disputes, you know. And Triple OK Law is the leading in disputes. So I was really good at that. In fact, when I did my LLM, I did my LLM at a university in London called Queen Mary University of London. Does any of you know that university? Yes. So that's where I did my LLM. 2 weeks after I resigned, after I was jobless, I set up my firm. And then 2 weeks later, I started traveling. And do you know where I traveled? I went to Southeast Asia. Where is that? It's at the southeast part of Asia, yeah? So, and I traveled for 5 months continually. Can you imagine? So I traveled, I was in Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, Laos, Malaysia, India, full-time traveling and backpacking for a whole 5 months. This is 2 weeks after starting my company, you see. So this was a very ballsy and stupid move, you see. But then again, you'll see why that was relevant. So I traveled and then I came back. That was beginning of November last year, and I came back to the country end of March this year. So when I traveled, I got a lot of perspectives, you know. The reason for my travel was because I was debating in my head. I was like, yes, I'm out here. I'm now running my farm. I have a vision. I was very clear about the vision that I want my farm to be. But I was conflicted because I was thinking, yes, I want to run a successful farm, but I also want to have my freedom to do my things. I want to be able to travel. I want to have flexibility. I want to have control over my time. The problem that I'd seen with most entrepreneurs was that it completely consumes you, you know. You eat, breathe, you work from Sunday to Sunday. I was thinking, I don't want that for me, okay? I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to travel. And again, I'll come in my second part of the presentation to explain what for me legal entrepreneurship is and what it could be. So while traveling, it showed me some things. First, it made me develop or structure a firm that can be operated fully remotely and virtually from any part of the world. It taught me how to work from anywhere. Obviously, I was always good because even when I was employed, I used to travel as much as possible. I was always just, you know, moving around. But it forced me to find a way to make it revolutionary that I can work from literally any place while traveling. Okay? And so when I came back and I was now, and even as I traveled, I kept on working. Like I would work, do work for clients, get paid, continue traveling. I didn't know how long I would travel. I was going to travel endlessly. Then I was like, it's about time to come back. But that helped me put in place systems where now myself and my team in the farm can work literally from anywhere. As an example, I have one staff member who is the whole of this month going to be working from Wajir. You know where Wajir is? At the corner of Kenya and Somali. He's Somali. So he's going to be working there for almost a whole month. And because a person is out of Nairobi, work doesn't stop in our farm, you see. As long as you have, in fact, right now, I can just log onto this machine and I'll work. I can log onto your phone and I'll be able to work. I can work from any device in the world as long as we have internet connectivity. And that's the same also with my team. I also have another team member who's a lady. She's almost the female version of me. She's a big traveler. She's always, I can't even keep up with her. She's somewhere in Naivasha sometime. She's in Diani because she's very big on social media. So I don't know how and then she's Gen Z, so she's always just moving around. But somehow it works, you see, because that enabled us to set up a very flexible working environment. Again, because the people I work with are very self-driven, so they work literally from anywhere. We have physical offices in Kilimani, but it is not a requirement in my firm to come to the office. In fact, I advise people, don't come to the office, just work from home. But then Gen Zs are funny people. If you tell them don't work from the office, they want to come to the office. So that is usually my struggle. If I tell them work from the office, I'll be like, no, I don't want to work from the office. So, but essentially, our people have that flexibility to work from anywhere, and it works. And I was very happy to see Starlink. Now, I think we'll buy a device and we can work from, because some places we go and there's no internet, it's a challenge, you know. But now, so you guys have seen Starlink. Maybe that's going to be a solution. So anyways, that is essentially about the farm. When I started practicing, and the point is that sometimes you want to, you go through a journey to find your home or your place. ultimately, I found myself that I had a lot of passion in working with investors. Okay? And then this is the beginning of my presentation now. What is investment? Okay? And I'm going to start by asking you guys a question. Why do you study the law? Let me start with her. Why do you study the law? That's really, really important. Yeah, that's very important. Why do you study the law? Or do you study the law? Just shout, yeah. Why do you study the law?
I know it's for most of us, our parents decided.
That's a good one. The lady behind you?
I think to contribute to organizing the society.
That is good. And the lady behind you?
To help the society. And then it's because my father wanted.
That's good.
So I'm living my father's dream.
That's good. The lady with specs, you, yes. She was trying not to give me eye contact.
I would say diversity.
I think this is the truth. Everyone does whatever you are doing to make money, right? It's not passion. Passion is okay, but when did you last pay your rent or pay your meal with passion? Can you remember? Last time you went to the landlord and told them, "Hii passion nimelipa rent." So, ama unaambia conductor, chukua hii passion, imelipa hii transport. So, we all do this because we want to make money. Second question, how can you ensure that you always make money? I'll give you the answer. By helping people make money. Okay? If you always work with people if you're helping people to make money, you will automatically also make money. And that is what investment is. And that is what we do. Our role is essentially to help our clients make money. And when they make money, do you think tunakaa tu hivi pesa inatupita? Do you think we're like, oh, hey, we're helping the society, oh, it's good. No. As they make money, we make money, right? And that is what investment is. The goal of, or the purpose of generating wealth, creating wealth, and making money out of it. And then from there, making social change. Now, that is just a layman's explanation of what investment is. Okay, who knows what foreign direct investment is? Yes?
Foreign direct investment is, as you said, investment is helping clients make money. So it's making foreign clients make money in a particular country. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, another question, what is the opposite of foreign direct investment? Does anyone know? The opposite? If anyone gets this, anapata zawadi. Hapana. You're going to Google. Yeah, I see. Yo, you see her. Karibu niseme zawadi ni mzuri sijasema. Foreign direct investment is where foreigners or residents or individuals of another country make a significant investment in another country. An example is you're Kenyan, umesikia, Rwanda is a good place to invest. You go and make an investment in Rwanda. That is a foreign direct investment. But it is direct in this way. It is direct because you're making an investment that you're doing. For example, and so this is where the difference is going to come. One of my clients is one of the people that we represent is the biggest avocado exporter in the Northern Hemisphere. Okay? So, you know the Northern Hemisphere from the North Pole kwenda juu, they are the biggest avocado exporters in the world. They want to come, now they've set up a business in Kenya and Tanzania. They're acquiring thousands of acres of land, okay? And they're bringing in millions of dollars in investments. So you see, they're coming to actually physically and literally do an investment, okay? Now, in another scenario, another company could come and say, okay, usually these are venture capitalists. They come and say, we have money, we are going to come and buy shares in Safaricom and then go back to our country. So there's a company, say in the US, inakuja it buys, or there's a big bank, Exim Bank of China, comes and buys shares in Equity Bank in Kenya and goes away. That is also an investment. But that is the opposite. It's called a foreign portfolio investment. You see? So yes, it is an investment, but it's not direct. It's portfolio. And that is the difference in a sense of that kind of investment. Because yes, while it is an investment, it is not direct. In direct investments, you are actually investing in an industry. Is that clear? Yeah, so essentially that is what FDI is, and that's what we do. Now, Before I give you other examples of what it entails and what we do, just so that you don't think that that's all we do, that is our specialization, investment law in Africa. We also do, like you said, we also do domestic investments and diaspora investments. So we do mostly three things. Domestic investment is that we work with Kenyan companies or Kenyan entities who are looking to, for example, you want to set up a company for media, or you want to set up a company for something. We help you set up that investment and structure it. But also another emerging area that we're doing is that we are also working with diaspora people. So we have a relative, everyone knows here, if you have a relative in the US, UK, somewhere, everyone wants to invest back home, sindio? But there's a problem. Usually, you can never send money to your uncle or your mom or your dad. If you send it to your mom, atakula. Atasema, kuna chama, itachunwa. If you send it to your brother, if you send it to a bank, you're just putting it in a bank, it's really not helping you. You see? So then we come in as lawyers, we tap into that market of diaspora Kenyans, and then we help them invest back here at home. So we can help them set up investment vehicles for their monies. If whichever country they are in, we help them. And sometimes they don't want their people to know that they're investing. Anataka kuja tu hapa siku moja angushe tu nyumba mara moja, So we help them go through all that process. If say they're in the UK, they want to buy land in Kenya, it's very difficult to trust people to just send money and say, I'm buying that land. Since we're here, we can tell you, we can do the due diligence for you. We'll say, okay, this land is actually bad or good, and then we'll do the whole transaction for you, even if you're not in the country. Okay? And because we're professionals, then we're trusted that, yes, we are better off than your uncle who knows nothing about purchase or sale of land or vehicle. You see? And then for direct investments, like I said, we work with local people who want to diversify or make money locally. So those are the three main things that we do. Okay? What are the kind of things that we do in this investment law? Okay? And how does that go into foreign direct investment? So we'll just take a model example of a client. A big or even a small client comes into the country. Okay? They want to set up an investment here in Kenya. I want us to just brainstorm as we go what you think would be the first step to the last step. Okay? Okay. Now, just so that we can move faster, we can just shout haraka haraka, so that, because the mic is taking a long time. If you get the mic, that's fine. If you don't, just shout. Okay? So let's make it random. So a company comes, a company called ABC Limited. It's from Germany. It wants to come to Kenya. What is the first thing that you do? You do what? Okay, no. So it has done all that. It has decided I'm coming to Kenya. As a lawyer, what is the first thing you do when they come to you? Exactly, incorporation, right? Incorporation is done. What follows next? Yes, permit. Good. Permit is done. What follows next? Think practically. What follows next? You start the business. So you have a permit and you have a certificate of incorporation. Now let us start trading. Is that it? Do you have a KRA pin? You need a KRA pin, right? So what do? You register for tax. Now, how are they going to receive money or send money? Yes, you need what? A bank account, right? They have a bank account. Now, does this company run on its own? It needs who? Who? Employees, right? So what do? You get employees. If you're getting employees, what do you need for that? Employment contracts, yes. Now, these employees, there are several things that is required, right? You have the contract, but the contract is not enough. There are other things that you require for this employee to function. What is that? Safety measures, NSSF, NHIF, NITA, so many things, right? Now, that is happening. Now, do you see what is happening? It's just one small thing, but it's cascading across very many different understandings of the law. Do you see? Now, the thing about foreign direct investment in a practical sense is exactly that. You see? It is unique in this way. It is unique in that it requires you to be a wholesome lawyer. Do you see? Because on the one hand, you're a commercial lawyer because you've incorporated the company, right? It requires you to have an understanding of tax because you will register the company for taxation. It requires you to understand contracts because why? You will draw contracts. You need to understand conveyancing because why? You'll have leases. You need to understand employment law because you'll have employees and you have to draw up employment contracts. Do you see? So there are very many different branches of the law all in one. You see? And that is what the practical foreign direct investment is. So at the end of the day, yes, you're specializing in one thing. It's like giving birth to a child. And you're not just giving birth to a child and then, okay, go, tembea. No. Giving birth to a child, cutting the umbilical cord, dressing it up, vaccinating it, and then going. And that's exactly what we do. We bring to life such organizations, such companies, and when they come to life, we help them go, navigate through all the requirements. If it is a regulated industry, like mining or minerals, we get them licenses and permits. If it is just a general company, we get it export licenses. You see? If one day it happens that they have a problem with their supplier, what is going to happen? Dispute, yes. So you need to understand that there's a dispute, and then this client needs representation. Do you see? So what we do in FDI is that we then look at everything from an investor's perspective. Okay, so that when this client comes to us, we give that wholesome service to them. They know that they're fully covered. And here's the best thing, by the way. This is one of the best things that I like. For most of the clients that we work with, once you've taken them through that, after the first 3 or 4 months, there's so many things that happens in the first 3 or 4 months, because most of these things happen at the beginning, and then they stop. But you know what the companies usually tell you? Now, we want to give you a retainer. Do you know what a retainer is? What is a retainer? What is a retainer? She doesn't know. Do you know what a retainer is? Okay. Do you know what a retainer is? Okay. A retainer, put simply, is being paid to do nothing but just to be available. Okay. So the client agrees with you and tells you, so I'll pay you $500 or $1,000 every month. Just like that. If I don't call you, it is okay. I still pay you the same amount of money. But if work comes along and I call you, you don't charge me extra. You charge me exactly the same. So do you see? So it is like legal insurance. So the client pays you every month or every quarterly, and it is good because sometimes, like I have clients who are on retainer and we don't speak for 4 months, but every quarter or every month payment comes through. But then one day that phone is going to ring, and then I'm going to be working for this client endlessly for days and days and days. You see? So that is what retainers are. So most companies will say, okay, now please don't let us go. We'll give you a retainer and then you'll work with us through the whole process. Because sometimes they're like, oh, what do we do in this case? Just one phone call. That phone call in that whole month still doesn't affect, we still get paid that retainer. So do you see? So essentially that is what we do. Some of the exciting things that we do so far, just in this year alone, this is September, we have, I can say that we have brought into the country almost slightly more than $10 million of investments, you see, in just less than a year. Now, that for us is good as practice, as our practice. But for me, I always look at it in a more better sense. When they come here, there's going to be jobs created, right? And who's going to get employed? Kenyans, exactly. Young Kenyans like you get employed, you see. There's going to be an auditor. There's going to be an accountant. The banks are going to get money and deposits. So for me, that is usually the most fulfilling, in that as we do our legal work, what you're saying, we're doing social change in such a positive way, because we're putting money into everyone's pockets. And this client is happy because why? They're going to invest here, they'll get back the money. Has anyone lost? Everyone is a winner, right? Everyone is a winner. Everyone is making money. No one is feeling, the thing about dispute resolution, if you've done disputes in court, people feel so painful paying lawyers. You're like, I'm paying lawyer. It's like paying your dentist. It's very painful, but it's necessary, So the practice that we do is beautiful in that sense, in that we help people make money. And it's across the whole chain. And that for me is very, 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 very satisfying. And in that way we do, social change, and we do that. On the side as a firm, and even particularly individually, I do a lot of pro bono works, especially in slums. So in Kibera, in Kawangware, in Mukuru kwa Njenga, we do a lot of social CSR, corporate social responsibility, just to give back, to the society. So that's what we do. Some of the things that we have done also is that we are doing some international arbitration. Do you know what international arbitration is? Do you know what arbitration is? What is arbitration? The guy with the hood? You. Yes, you. No, the one behind you. Do you know what No, you. Yes. What is arbitration?
Arbitration is resolving an dispute through the assistance of a neutral arbiter.
Perfect. Yeah. Umesema vizuri sana. Nilikuwa nafikiri utaanguka nayo. Yes. So international arbitration is when there's a dispute between two like companies or people of two nationalities. That is an international dispute. Okay? So it is an arbitration if these two people decide to take it to an international tribunal. And that also is one thing that we do as a support. Okay? Because you see, if we are working with investors who are investing from, say, Turkey to Kenya, there could be a dispute. We need to be well equipped to be able to do what? To do disputes if that dispute arises. You see, and so many other things. And I'm happy for the things that we do still in this FDI space. We work with some companies that exclusively export all the pyrethrum from Kenya to Europe. And so as lawyers, we're making so much change. Just by being lawyers, because we're able. Out of that, pyrethrum farmers are getting a lot of money. They don't know us, but we're making it very possible for them to get paid. We're making it possible for them to pay school fees. We're making it possible for them to buy fertilizer and, feed their families. Because as lawyers, we enable businesses to thrive. Do you see? Now, I want to conclude on this FDI, then go to the second part. So when you work with us, usually, again, like I told you, as a person, I'm very easy. All my team members will tell you that. And then we have a lot of freedom, Like I was traveling the whole of last month, literally. Even I just came back to Nairobi 2 days ago for this session, because I thought we were presenting yesterday. So I came on Thursday. But I've been traveling the past 1 month, just all around the country. I've not been in the office a whole month, but I've been working. I haven't met my employees now for maybe a month and a half. But I know that wherever they are, everyone is doing their job. I can see them producing. We work on a virtual platform. So sometimes me and my associate, we are working on the same document at the same time. Unakumbuka ile mambo ya timu wakati hebu send to compile sijui nini? We don't have that, okay? So when you work with us, the people that we recruit usually are first. I don't insist on completely smart people. I don't insist that now you must be first class, GA. No. Me, I was just lucky in law. In my high school bana, nilikuwa na flank, nilikuwa nafunga nini pale chini, So I know that book intelligence is not everything. Sometimes out here street smart is really more important, and how you are as a person. But then we work with people who are self-driven, people who do not need to be followed. Because I'll meet with them maybe once a month. If they come to the office, maybe frequently, But I trust that wherever they are, they're doing their job, that they're doing whatever they're doing. But also, just the competence to be an all-rounded lawyer, you see? So that, and usually we work in the team, everyone has a specialization, you see? So my specialization is dispute. We have another team member whose specialization is intellectual property. Do you know what intellectual property is? Yeah, so we have a client. This is something that happened. We have a client. We set up the investment for them here. They're like, okay, we are a big brand. We want to make sure that we are the only people who can use this name and this logo here. That is intellectual property. That also falls under FDI. We have a specialist in that. We have a specialist in real estate. So the people that we onboard to the team, yes, you are an all-rounded lawyer, but we still insist on you becoming really good at something. Okay? So if you're really good at IP, for example, then that is what you'll do, you see? You can also be really good as a conveyancer, but then just having that all-round understanding of what the whole investment circle is. Okay, so that is what FDI is, and later on I'm happy to receive questions on that practical aspect. Now, Second part is on legal entrepreneurship. And I think I really liked this part, you know. And I'm going to start by this question. What is entrepreneurship? Is entrepreneurship and self-employment the same? If you're self-employed, are you an entrepreneur? Is there a difference between self-employed, investor, and entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur, as the rest have said, is someone who finds a niche in the public and brings upon an opportunity to solve it and start a business out of it. A person who is self-employed is a person who, again, has started their own business. Maybe they might have not even started it on their own. Someone else might have started it and left it for them. But they control each and everything that happens there, and they're the boss. They are their boss, and they may be a boss of someone else. While an investment is where you might not have any connection to a certain company, but you might take your earnings and your capital and put it in that company in a way that you will earn something from it back. Like, let's say you buy shares, or you buy, is dividends okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you buy shares or dividends.
That is amazing. So the difference between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur is that in an entrepreneur, the business runs independent of the founder or independent of the owner. Okay? And the test is usually that it can run for 90 days without your involvement. Now, if it cannot run for that long, then you're not an entrepreneur. You are self-employed. Okay? You're just staying there. You're self-employed without a salary, but you're self-employed. And now coming to legal entrepreneurship. And I had to give that distinction because people confuse the two many times. Okay? People think that self-employment is the same as entrepreneurship. Now, if you have that understanding, that clear understanding, if you finally move out to the legal practice, you'll always have an understanding to know what exactly am I doing. Now, legal entrepreneurship is essentially running legal practice, okay, and setting up systems so that this practice can survive you or can survive your absence, okay? And that's essentially really what I'm trying to do. You know, that's why I'm telling you I've been away for the past 1 month, but I want to make sure that when I'm away, everything runs smoothly, except things that I need to sign off, for example, release of money and stuff like that, but everything else can run smoothly. My associates go for client meetings, my associates get called by meetings, and if you ever join our firm, it will be the same for you. When you come, we assign clients to you, and I tell you, what is your name? Otia. I tell you, Otia, this client is your client. Everything is going to come through you from this client. So you'll go for meetings with them, you'll listen to them, and then you'll create a relationship with them. And from this one client, you'll get a lot of works, you see. I'd never have to be, I'll just be there to give support and advice, but the client is fully yours to run and manage and everything. So legal entrepreneurship is that possibility of having a law firm that works with systems. The problem with many firms in Kenya is that they are usually controlled by one person or two people, and that sometimes can be a bit toxic, you see, because all decisions go through one person. If this person is not available, then salaries are going to delay, clients are not going to come, business is not going to come. But in legal entrepreneurship, you're creating a business, and in that business setting up systems to make it succeed. And probably now as law students, this may not be relevant for you now, because maybe along the way down the road, you'll now start thinking of having your law firms, for example. Then this will become extremely relevant to just think about law as a business, you see. And this is important because at the end of the day, remember we started this conversation by saying that we are doing what we are doing because we want to make money, okay? So being a good entrepreneur helps you do that. And if you ever get into legal practice, think of your practice as any other company or any other business. Okay? Think of your company as a person who's running a tech company or a person who's running an agricultural business company. The principles are exactly the same. The only difference is that we're providing legal services, That person, the farmer, is providing milk and dairy products, and the other person doing photography is providing photography services. But the principles of business are exactly the same. What is required for someone in photography to succeed is the same for what is required for a person doing the practice of law. Okay? Now, I know most of you have not got to that point, which is why this was really difficult for me to think about in the sense of young lawyers, especially as you become lawyers. But it is important in this way. It's important that as you start your career, yes, it is difficult to know where you want to go, okay? But it is good to have an idea. Just say, okay, for example, if after 6 or 7 years I want to have my own practice, or I want to do whatever I'm doing, what can I do today to aid in that process years down the line, okay? And I would give you some pointers on how to prepare for that, especially at your level. Number one, be an excellent lawyer. I think that is the most important thing, okay? Be an excellent lawyer. And what that means is that, excellence is different from good. Excellence is just that in everything that you're doing in the best way possible. So be an excellent lawyer. Number two, I will give you a phrase that changed my life so many years ago in legal practice. Triple A, okay? I want you to embrace triple A as you move out towards practice. Again, I'm keeping my presentation very practical, not academic or theoretic, but I know most of you are students. But triple A is ability, agility, and availability, okay? Always have this as your credo. Triple A, ability, agility, and availability. Let me start with the first. Ability is having the competence to do something, okay? And that goes back to being what? Being an excellent lawyer. And how you be an excellent lawyer is by first being an excellent law student. You know, today I was asked a question down there. I was asked, what is a marriage between, theoretic law in school and practical and practice and, law in practice? And I said, it's impossible to be good in one without the other. I cannot purport to be a good practitioner if I didn't apply myself well in the theoretic part of law. When I studied contracts, Force versus Habertol, what was the other case law? Sijui, Donahue versus Stevenson. What are those other cases? Carbonic smokes. What was the other case law? But that was taught. Yeah. So you see, if I didn't know those things, what was that case about your neighbor, the water that bursts? Trespass. It was Rylands. Now, those things were very theoretical at the time. But now when I come here, I apply them very, very practically. You see, I apply them very, very, very practically. The other day I saw on TikTok this lady saying, okay, she was like, okay, can someone tell me whether I'm committing a crime or not? Did you see that video of, so she has a neighbor. The neighbor, amepanda malenge kwake. Okay, so she has planted, what is malenge in English? Pumpkin. Sasa unajua vile malenge, pumpkin really inatembeanga. Sasa imetembea kutoka huko, imekuja imezaa malenge kubwa sana kwake. So she was asking, now what do I do? If I eat this malenge, is it a crime? Because yes, it has grown on her. And she was like, na ingine pia na mea, so you need to tell me haraka haraka. I was like, if I eat it now, is it hers or is it mine? I was like, that's interesting. That is a legal issue there, you know. So it is impossible to be a good legal practitioner in practice without first having an understanding of what substantive and theoretic law is. Do you see? So you must be you must try as much as possible to be a good lawyer. Now, that is ability. Ability is competence. The second is agility. Do you know what agility means? What does agility means? Yes? Yes. I'll give you 50%. Correct. What is agility? Yes, adaptivity. Being agile is like being fluid. Now, the mistake that many young lawyers make is that they always say, no, me, I want to do this. When I told you I work with many Gen Zs, right? So when they come, they tell me, me, I don't want to do litigation. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And then what I do, I get a litigation thing and I throw it at them. Or I get something, they're like, so what do you want to do? I want to do this. I'm like, okay. And then I give them a brief. And then that brief, like this person who likes IP was like, me, I don't want to do litigation. Then we got an IP thing, right? And in the IP, we had to advise on a litigation. And it was like, okay, so I need to also be a good dispute resolution lawyer. So the problem with young lawyers, and maybe not a problem, but sometimes it's naivety, it's having a narrow mind over something and then closing your mind out of everything else. You're like, okay, me apana, maybe I'll do commercial or I'll do conveyancing against everything else. That is not correct. Agility requires you just to be fluid. And then also when I come out here, because we work with very complicated scenarios, sometimes you have investors who want to come here and I have to really design the whole investment scheme. I have to really think of how to go about it, because the things that we do usually are worth millions of dollars. So any small mistake is going to cost a client a lot of things, It's millions and millions of dollars on the line usually. In that case, you need to be really agile, you need to be fluid, you need to be adaptive to the client, and also to be adaptive to the environment. And then lastly, availability. Availability is really important, and it is the one thing that will give you an edge as a young lawyer. Because in availability, many senior lawyers don't have time. They're so busy. They don't even have time. They don't even know what WhatsApp is. So as a young lawyer, the biggest advantage you have is that you have available. If a client calls you, kuja, unasema where, say the time and place, you are there, umeenda unajua. So that is one big advantage that you could always have as a young lawyer, just being available to do things. And as you do things, the more you do them, the more you get better at them. Okay? And so going into legal entrepreneurship, yes, this is really going to help you. And maybe as I come to open the floor for a few questions, I want to say something. When I was in undergrad, I used to tell myself, you know what? I have a challenge for myself. I want that in my first year of employment, nikuwe nimerudisha pesa yangu yote ya school fees tangu nizaliwe. And yeah, interestingly, within the first year of employment, nilikuwa nimerudisha pesa yangu yote yenye nilikuwa nimelipa school fees tangu nizaliwe mpaka nikamaliza shule. You see? So the point I'm making is that, yes, law as a profession is absolutely lucrative and is absolutely worth it. Mtu asikwambie law is flooded. You should come to our firm, you see how busy we are. Every single day we get very many works, very many instructions. We have a lot of work. We have people call me. Now, the reason I'm specializing is that because we have to turn down some works, And many other lawyers out there don't have work. But as we turn down work, we're like, no, that one we don't do, but we have someone who does it. You see? Because if you do good kind of legal practice, there's a lot of work in the law and there's a lot of money. Okay? The thing that you just need to do is that you just have to be hapa juu. Like when you get to the top stratosphere, there's a lot of breathing room. There's a shortage of good lawyers, to be honest. The other day someone told me, now Frank, I want you to recommend me a lawyer for this. I have so many lawyers, but I can't think of many good lawyers to recommend. See? So law as entrepreneurship, yes, it is absolutely worth it if you do it well. And if you do it well, you will never have to do anything else. You can literally just do your legal practice and that's sufficient. Okay? Yeah. But then again, like I said, as young lawyers, it is a journey to get there. So you start from early. And the last thing that I will say is, again, on legal entrepreneurship, now what is relevant for you is to have what is called personal branding. Okay? So start creating your brand. Okay? And your brand essentially is how you talk, how you interact with people, what people know you about, what people will say about you when you're not there. So start creating that branding as early as possible. So say to yourself, I want to be this kind of a lawyer, and then start working towards becoming that kind of a lawyer. Okay? Yes. So that concludes the main part of my presentation. I'm very happy to take questions from you on either the FDI, law as legal entrepreneurship, or any other question altogether. Yes. Any questions? Yes.
I have noted that you started your firm very recently, but you've grown so fast. So what is your marketing strategy to the extent that now you get clients even from foreign countries, whereas there are some firms which was started a long time ago, but you've now gone ahead of them?
I have never asked for legal work. Since I started my firm, I've never gone and said, give me work. Never. We don't do marketing. We don't market. Now we are just setting up our website now. You'll see, if you go there, you'll see it's still not yet up. Okay? Now, So then, how are we getting business? And how are we doing whatever we're doing? Because yes, I agree. And I'm very humbled that we have done so many things in such a short period of time. Now, I'll give you two answers. Number one, you see, if I hit this wall 1,000 times, and then on the 1,001 time it breaks, will I say, hey, me, I'm strong, nimevunja hii wall na ngumi moja? Will I say that? It is an accumulation of a period of time, right? It's compounded, and that is success is a compounded thing. So yes, now I'm now almost I think I'm now almost 7 years, or maybe slightly more than almost 7 years in practice, right? I am able to do what I'm doing now. Actually, exclusive, maybe 80% of our clients are foreign clients. The reason for that is because, yes, while I started my firm 1 year ago, this September is going to be 1 year, I did not become a lawyer 1 year ago. I did what I told you guys. I branded myself all through. Like, I had a vision, I knew this is what I want to do ultimately. I never thought that I would have my firm. In fact, 2 years ago, I was telling people I will never have a law firm. Mimi siwezi. Why would I have stress running my firm? You see, now I have my law firm. But what helped me is that along the way, I always branded myself. Along the way, I gathered social capital. I met people along the way. And some, let me tell you, some of the people who I'm working with now are people that I met maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we never had a conversation. And then now they're like, okay, Frank, we want to give you work. Please do this for us. Please do this for us, you see? So the thing is, start from way early. Start building. You don't wake up today. And that's the problem with young people. You think you wake up today and then you're successful. No. It takes time to build that social capital until you get there. Now I have in my phone maybe almost 4,000 contacts, you see? But I get so many phone calls. Even if you see here, some clients I really can't take up, you see? Because again, I know what to say. No, this is not what we do. We specifically do a certain practice area. And yes, this is good money for us, but it's not what we do. So on the first answer, I've been able to do what I've been able to do because it has been a long time coming. And secondly, the reason why we have done well is because we are very focused. We know exactly what we do, and that's what we do, and we do it really, really well. And then we set up systems for that. So I think, and I'm thinking to sometimes when I go to the office, I am a team member, so I do legal work. But some days I do exclusively nothing but management. Some days I do exclusively nothing but mentorship for my team. Sometimes I do exclusively nothing but thinking about the branding of the firm. Okay? So my role is to think, and I'm able to do this because I've employed enough people, so I have a lot of time on my hands to think about growth, to think about strategy. So that's how we're able to do everything that we're doing, because we're focused and because we know exactly what we are doing. Okay? Next question. Yes? Just shout it, huh?
Good evening. I am Jerry Amimo Jambuche. My question is, now that we've cracked down the difference between being self-employed and legal entrepreneurship, you notice that self-employment is mostly inclined towards a profession, and entrepreneurship is towards an innovative product.
You're right.
So are you saying the legal career right now should consider taking the turn to legal innovation rather than the strict traditional profession?
Okay, that is a really good question. And yes, you are right. Most professionals, unfortunately, end up being self-employed. They work and work. How many? Sometimes when you used to go to physical court, I used to see lawyers who had been lawyers for 50 years or 60 years. I'm like, bro. Anyway, no problem. You are experienced, So, but me, I don't know whether this is possible, but I always wanted to retire after 20 years of working. I always wanted to retire before 50 and travel and be with my family and do all those things, okay? I also really strongly believe in work-life balance. I tell my people, I don't want to see you overworking yourself. I want to see you with a life outside this office, you see? Now, but unfortunately, many self-employed people, many professionals, auditors, lawyers, many professionals, you know what I mean when I say professions, right? Most of them end up being self-employed, but it doesn't have to be the case. I'll give an example of even just big firms, like, this firm called Bowman's, Do you know there's actually someone called Bowman's and Coulson Honey? They are people, right? Do you really think if that guy decided not to work for 5 months, do you think he will go broke? Why? Because the firm is working, right? in entrepreneurship, what you do in entrepreneurship is that your money works for you. And how does your money work for you in a law firm setting? Can you think of a way? I'll tell you. Money works for you by employing good talent. You see? So for instance, I have my associates, right? I pay them. Say I pay them $1,000. One, for example, $1,000. If I'm gone, this guy who's getting paid $1,000 will probably generate in that month almost $3,000. Has my money worked for me or it hasn't worked for me? It has worked for me. You see, that is what entrepreneurship is. So you must think bigger than just you, small person. It is definitely possible as a professional, even as a lawyer, to have an entrepreneurship. If you can crack the code of putting up systems, let the thing be able to work without you being present. And if you can do that, then you are on the high path to entrepreneurship. And you can retire early. You can give, if you retire, you'll just be a celebrated partner. So then the firm will be called your name, and they'll pay you 50% of their money, and you'll be doing nothing but traveling and eating and farming. Okay? Have I answered your question? Yes. Any other question? Yes.
Can you tell us some of the challenges that you experienced when starting your farm, and how you were able to travel for all that long and you still had the funds to come back and pick up from where you left?
I'm going to start with the first. Challenges that I encountered. First, employment, you have the mind of an employee. And this is, some things don't make sense until you've actually experienced them practically. When people would say, no, stop thinking as an employee, it did not make sense at all. Sometimes I meet with my colleagues who we work together, and I hear them and I'm like, what are you thinking? Do you know how that doesn't work in the real world, Because as an employee, when you're getting paid a certain amount every month, you mind things very, very differently. When I'm out here and I know that we have to make money consistently, I think very, very differently, okay? So I think the first challenge is just being able to shift that head from you're an employee to you're a business owner, and then further to employing people. So one of the things that I had to really think is that, okay, I'm not getting a salary. How am I going to make money? Okay? And then in addition to that, when you start, the other day I went to, what is this thing called? Blankets and Wine. The one that was at Kasarani. And then this guy was performing Savara. I really like Savara, So he was performing. So when he came to perform, I don't know whether this was a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. When he was performing, he was doing everything. He was playing the guitar. He was playing the keyboard. It was just him and the dancer. Now, when he was in Sauti Sol, he had people who would do that. There was a whole team of people, you see. Now, that is what beginning sounds like. When you're starting out, you are everything. You are the accountant. You are the employee. You are the, you are the receptionist. You are everything. You are the company, you see. So that is always also a challenge. The fact that as you start out, you have to be everything. And coming from an employee background, you don't have that idea. As an employee in a law firm, your job is just to do legal work, fanya plaint, fanya verifying affidavit. Now, you have to have a bank account, you have to have professional indemnity, you have to deal with clients. There's a whole lot of things that are happening. So there's usually two problems. First, there's not enough mentorship of people to tell you how to set up your firm. And then there is not enough people to tell you, and that's why I'm telling you this right now. So the reason why people stagnate when they start their firms is because they think as employees. They don't think as entrepreneurship or as entrepreneur or as investors. We are fortunate because we work with investors, so we think like them. So many lawyers will start and they will think that their only job is to go to court or to do legal work. So they don't apply their minds to growth. They don't apply their minds to strategy, to branding, to client relations. That is some of the challenges, you see. But how you deal with that challenge is that you always have to remind yourself that legal services is a product, but what you're running is a company like any other company. Okay, so then intentionally apply your mind to that, and you'll see that you'll grow. Now, how I was able to travel for the 5 months. So first, I'm very fortunate in that we have really good clients, in the sense that we have clients who pay relatively well. and sometimes like one payment would be really, really good. For instance, a client would come and for some work, pay $10,000, okay, or $20,000, very easy. Now, when you're running a farm, that is good money, right? Because as a business owner, I have my overheads. I know I'm paying my salaries and my rent. Now, what is left is my money. You see, that is the advantage of being a business owner, because you have all the risks, but you also have all the reward. So when I traveled, at the time, I was just me and I had one intern. Okay, so and he was very part-time, but I would work. Remember, I'm the wandering lawyer, so I would go around, I would sit down, I would work. I would just tell myself, I just want to make $3,000 a month. And that was enough to finance my travel, because that was enough for me for a month. And I made that very, very easily. So just do some things here. Oh, I get the money and then I travel. That's why I kept on traveling, on and on. Because as I traveled, I kept on working, you see. So that is how I was able to do it. And then when I came back with the same acumen of being able to travel and run a virtual farm, I have actually sustained it. So since I came back in end of March until now, I have traveled again for 2.5 months in the past 5 months. So I've literally been in the office for just maybe 2 or 3 months. I was in Lamu for 1 month. I lived in Lamu for a whole month. Sometimes this year, I think was in May. And then I was in the office in June. No, it was June, whatever. I was in Lamu for a month. And then I was in the office 1 month, and then last month again I traveled the whole month, Masai Mara, and then I stayed at the coast for some time, just traveling, but also working. Yes, so that's why it's possible, because I work as I travel.